What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon, MLB DFS video. It is Monday. It is July 31st, and we have 10 games, 9 of them being on the main slate. Yesterday's video was awesome, guys. A lot of new subscribers, a lot of likes, a lot of comments. I see what you're asking. I see what you're saying, and we're trying to make these videos the best possible videos out there. So we go through a lot in these videos. I do realize that a ton of information is thrown at you here, and that's okay. If these help you out, which it sounds like they do, that's fantastic. That is what we're here for. We are trying to be better than everyone else out there that are just giving you top plays, and that's all you use. We're trying to break it down so in the future, eventually, you're able to know what to look for. If you don't have time, that's completely fine. That's why I'm here. If you need a little bit more help after the fact, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com has a lot of free information. We also have FTA Plus. Go check out FTA Plus right now. $24.99 for a month. That includes sports betting and DFS. And if you do the yearly pass and use the promo code NFL VIP, all one word, all capital letters, you're going to get a year pass. That'll be up until next July 31st for $99. You get $100 off right now. After that expires, a year pass will be $199. So if you've been on the fence about it, I suggest get in there right now, sign up before it's too late. So that being said, if you're new to the channel, anytime a video gets at least 50 likes and you leave a comment and you're a subscriber, someone will win a free week. And multiple people have won multiple weeks, and you can too. Anytime a video gets at least 100 likes, someone will win a free month of MLB DFS content. Or just a full month. It's a month. That includes MLB, and once we get into NFL, we're adding in NASCAR, we're adding in PGA, we're adding in MMA back, getting all the bacon stations is what I call them, research for you guys. Those will be included. So you get a full month of every sport we offer. We're moving forward with that with the week. So I'm very excited about that. Be on the lookout for more videos coming up. So hit the bell notification so you know it's there. And if any video gets 125 likes on it, someone will win a year pass absolutely free. All you got to do is like the video and leave a comment. So we put yesterday's video here. We filtered it out. We have 30 unique comments on yesterday's video. So one person is going to win. Good luck to everyone here, and then we will get started. So congratulations to John. Loving the info. The link doesn't matter to me. The more the merrier. So if this is you, John, please like this video. And then hit me up either on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, at advisors_team. DM me there, and we'll get you set up for an account. Or email me dfshelp1@gmail.com. So again, congratulations, John. And for everyone who's new, if John comes back to this video, he likes the video, he leaves a comment on the video, he has a chance to win another free week, which is awesome. So everyone who gets in now for this month will get MLB, PGA, MMA, and possibly NASCAR if we get it back. I don't know if there's enough, if people want it enough. So I'm looking at that, looking at other things as well. So if you guys are interested, let us know if you would be interested in other sports. So congratulations again, John, and we're going to dig into it a little bit. So I've been seeing what you said, and we're going to look at it. I've got the ballpark rankings here with the... And these are updated, and we'll talk about that. But these are updated. These are obviously Sunday, so it has a majority of a lot of parks. But we're going back to other parks, too. I don't have all of the information yet. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, I found it, and we're going to go over it for every ballpark as well. So we're not really going to dig into the Phillies at the Marlins because this game isn't on the main slate, so we're not going to go over it. If you want to dig in a little bit... for bats, so looking at this, Taijuan Walker versus Edward Cabrera. Now, Cabrera, his name's been thrown out there for possibility of being traded. So this one could change depending on when you watch this video. Again, I believe the trade deadline is Tuesday at like 4 p.m. Eastern or something like that, or 5 or something. And a lot of names are going to change place. It's going to be a very busy one, I believe. Now, this is a name that's been floated out here, so if you are playing like a single game, make sure he's still there, depending on when you look at that. If you want to look at plate appearances, you want to look at batters and stuff like that, Kyle Schwarber obviously makes a good option here. Brandon Marsh against Cabrera. Bryce Harper most of his numbers are red, which is fantastic. Trey Turner, he's been really bad. This year it's been a down year compared to everything, especially compared to the WBC. Bohm coming off a massive 2-run home run. They end up losing the game, but so that's being said, I told you I absolutely love Christopher Sanchez in yesterday's game. If you watch yesterday's video, I was all over Christopher Sanchez, and of course, for whatever reason, they pulled him in the 5th inning with a no-hitter going. And then they proceeded to tie the game up, and then they lost. Phillies ended up losing the game. So we're digging into the numbers. They are working. We are seeing them, and you guys are seeing the results as well. So let me know your results. How did you guys fare on the weekend? And then Real Muto, I don't mind. Castellanos is kind of just – he looks against Rich Hill, I think he's 1 for 15 or 1 for 16, which makes no sense. So those are some of the bats that we'd like. If you're not going with Taijuan Walker and you're going bats here, Jesus Sanchez is all over the place, getting hits and home runs. His name's been floated around about getting traded. De La Cruz's name's been floated around and getting traded, but he's looking good here. Soler's been hitting some bombs. He's got that power. Looking at that, Garrett Cooper hit a home run for us yesterday. Probably, Gene Segura, I don't mind. Luis Arraez for hits, but he's not going to get you much power. But looking at that, those are some of the bats in that game that we like. So we'll move on to the main slate. You got Tampa Bay Rays at New York Yankees. Tyler Glasnow at to be announced, but let's see what DraftKings has. So Glasnow is the highest priced pitcher on the slate, and I really like him. The Yankees are looking bad. I don't know if the Yankees are going to be buyers or sellers, so this is kind of what we're going to look at. The possibility of them being sellers, they could trade Bader. They could trade some of their bullpen guys, which wouldn't affect what we're doing. But let's look at these numbers. Game log, obviously, Glasnow's a stud coming off a massive game. We took him against Miami, 31.4. I mean, he's had these double digits since June 20th. He's had some fantastic games here. Tell me this is not Cillian Murphy. This is Oppenheimer right here. You can't Google Oppenheimer. You've never seen Tyler Glasnow and Cillian Murphy in the same room ever because they're the same person. Looking at this, though, home games, he's 343. On the road, this is at Yankee Stadium, 322. A little bit better on the road, less earned runs, less home runs, same amount of walks. Does have less Ks, though, but the Yankees strike out a ton. I mean, basically, Stanton and Rizzo could be 8 strikeouts for him right there. So looking at that, I don't mind. Glasnow here, I love him. He's the picture of the video and article for a reason. The problem is it's Yankee Stadium, and we know that if it's hot and humid, the ball could fly out of there. We do have a weather tab on our cheat sheet, so check that by usually about 10 a.m. Central. That'll be updated. You can see if the weather's blowing in or out, humidity. That will help factor in some bats as well. But looking at that, the Yankees are supposedly putting out Domingo Germán. Let's see. His last start was Tuesday, so it probably is his start. Looking at this, you don't know who you're going to get. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays are really good. Don't be surprised if the Yankees get swept here. They're looking like absolute dog trash right now. Home games, 461 a year, so he is better at home. He's given up 13 home runs at home, though, 14 walks, 66 strikeouts. Don't think I could trust Germán here. Looking at these numbers, let's dig into the bats that we would like. And StatCast Park Factor. So here, this is kind of good too. So a lot of information here. Let's look at Yankee Stadium. If you click on it, can you dig into it a little bit more, or what's it do? Yeah, so you can dig into it more. You can do, lefty, righty, doesn't really matter. Conditions, day, night. I mean, you could look at day, night. So if you want to look at day, night. So in this condition, night game, let's take a look. Let's see what it does. So night games, you're looking at this. So far, 98 singles, 77 doubles, 55 triples, 97 walks, giving up 121 home runs there, only 91 strikeouts. You got OBP hits, runs, weighted on base. This is batting average on contact. This is expected batting average on contact. Hard hit rate, the balls are getting hit out of there. Weighted on base contact and weighted on base, or expected weighted on base contact. So you can see a lot of these numbers. If you want to see how it fares in all of them, we can look at this. and how it breaks down, just like how it would break down on the website. You want to see how many home runs? This one doesn't count because this is the one in Mexico that they played in, I believe. So that doesn't count. Yankee Stadium here, 124. They're tied for second overall with home runs. So, I mean, that brings a lot of bats into play. So, against Domingo Germán, Yandy Diaz, look at all this red. Ton of red here. Just doesn't have speed. Arozarena, a ton of red as well. Luke Raley, a ton of red. Brandon Lau, iffy. Wander Franco, he's in the middle, doesn't have a ton, isn't hitting the ball hard, kind of in a little bit of slump, but he can come out of it anytime. We know he's a good player. He's a switch hitter as well. Josh Lowe is here. Jose Siri's kind of blue. So those are kind of the bats that you look at. I mean, these here and then Lau and Harold Ramirez are some good options for you. And then we look at this. Obviously, Aaron Judge, when he's in, he got the rest on Sunday. Did not start. We got Aaron Judge. Fantastic here. A bunch of red. We know what he does. Huge. Stanton, if he's playing the outfield, he's way better for bats if he's playing the outfield. Whether or not he is or not, I don't know. LeMahieu, in the middle, kind of still looking weird. Isn't as good as when he got injured last year. He's still not looking the same. So we're looking at that. Rizzo's really struggling right now. Bowers probably doesn't start. Glaber, he's been one of their best hitters. His name has been floated out there to get traded, so that's definitely something to monitor. Volpe, cheaper GPP option for you. IKF has been on fire lately. I know his numbers right here aren't the best, but he's been absolutely on fire, so I would look at him. And then Bader as well, but I don't know if Bader's going to be traded or not, so that's something to look at. But probably not going Germán. Probably would go Glasnow and be comfortable with that. And then Tampa Bay bats as a stack against Germán. Brewers at the Nationals got Corbin Burns versus Jake Irvin. Looking at this, Corbin Burns here, second highest amount priced pitcher on DraftKings, going up against Washington. Game log, not okay against Cincy, but again, that's Cincy. They're really good. Really good game. I mean, amazing game. 10 Ks against Philly. Had 13 Ks against Cincy here for 40.5. Looking at this, he hasn't faced Washington this year. He is better on the road pitching. He's got a better ERA on the road. More Ks on the road. Less walks, less home runs, less earned runs, less everything on the road, except for one more start and 8 or 11 more, 10.2 more innings than on at home. So I really like that. Corbin Burns, fantastic option here. If for whatever reason, I mean, if you need that $300 savings, Corbin Burns is in a good spot as well. A lot of the Washington bats are in play. But like Candelario, his name has been floated. I think the GM for Washington said that Candelario, there's like 8 or 9 teams that are very interested in him, so he could be traded immediately. You never know. So looking at the ballpark real quick. Where is Nationals Park? So yeah, they don't give up a ton of home runs. It's kind of down towards the bottom. At 91 right here. If you look at Nationals Park, you've got park factor 100, which is basically the part that means it's even. So that's kind of the baseline is 100. Everything above is better. Everything below plays for pitching more, if you think about it that way. So they're down to the bottom here. Do give up a ton of singles. So you got some singles, doubles, but the home runs aren't there. The power's not there. So use that information how you will. But if you're looking at bats here, Christian Yelich homered for us on Sunday with one of our parlays. He's been absolutely on fire right now. William Contreras, I believe, also homered on Sunday. He is an option that I would look in for bats against Jake Irvin. Carlos Santana homered in, I believe, his first game for the Brewers. So those are fantastic options there. Willy Adames I would use as well. So those are kind of the bats that I would use for Milwaukee. Yelich, Contreras, Santana, and Willy Adames. And then on the flip side of this, the Nationals. Like I said, Candelario, but I don't know if I'll have any bats. If I have any bats, it would be Candelario and Luis Garcia, Lane Thomas. Lane Thomas has been name has been floated out there for trades. Candelario as well. So maybe a little bit of CJ Abrams, but that's basically it, guys. Wouldn't be looking at very many other bats for the Nationals. Probably going to be having a lot of exposure to Burns on this one. And also, I saw some comments. They're saying like contrarian stack. So like in yesterday's video, I said Jesus Luzardo. He is there. He's expensive, and I could see Detroit getting to him. And they got to him for 4 runs right off the bat. Contrarian stacks. If you look, we had Miami as our number 1 contrarian stack. We had Philly. So this is kind of how we went with contrarian due to the ownership. And a lot of people have been asking about ownership percentages. So these aren't out when we do the videos. These are out later during the day when you can kind of project them out. And these are here. So like we talked about, Atlanta, 89% projected ownership. In tournaments, we had Matt Olson who had 2 home runs. We had Austin Riley in a lineup that had a home run. So you can kind of see that this is how you kind of fade it. Looking at percentages, these are ways to get around and check out different contrarian stacks. These are on the website. These are part of FTA Plus. So looking at that, that's kind of where I'd go. I wouldn't go anywhere else in that game. Orioles at the Blue Jays is next. You got Kyle Gibson versus Chris Bassett. And then Chris Bassett here at home. Game logs, 14.5. Not very good. I mean, that was against the Dodgers, though. So 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks, only 14.5. Would have loved to see a little bit more, obviously. You're going to get right around 6 innings probably. Looking at this, he's faced Baltimore for 1 start. Only lasted 3 innings in that game. 8 earned runs, 3 home runs. You can see this. At home, he doesn't give up home runs. Gives up a ton of home runs on the road. But now he's at home. He's got a better ERA at home going up against Baltimore. But they destroyed him at home. Or let's see, where was this? Probably in Baltimore. Yeah, it was at Baltimore. So he's a little bit better pitcher at home. Gives up less walks, has more Ks, gives up less home runs, a lot of less earned runs. He is way worse on the road. So Bassett, anytime he's on the road, probably stack against him. So use this information how you will. I would be looking at Bassett for tournament only because the Orioles are obviously one of the best teams in baseball right now. Kyle Gibson, on the other hand, let's see, he's probably down here. Yeah, he's down here. So looking at Kyle Gibson, not bad, 6,400 here. Same price he was against Philly, and Philly's a good team. Looking at this, he's faced Toronto 1 time this year, 7 innings pitched, only 1 earned run in that game, 5 strikeouts. 23.6. So he had a really good game. So looking at his splits, away games, he's better on the road. He has more Ks on the road. He does have more walks, more home runs, more earned runs. So some of these numbers are skewed a little bit. Kyle Gibson, tournament-wise, I don't mind him. He's had success against Toronto before. Looking at this, was it in Toronto or was it at home? It was at Toronto, so he actually had a good game at Toronto. So I honestly might not mind Kyle Gibson. Tournament, though. He is a tournament option for me here. Then if we look at the bats in this one, it's going to be the usual suspects that you're probably used to. But we'll dig in. We'll look at it a little bit. If you have questions, maybe this will help answer a little bit. Bats that I would use, again, if you aren't going with Chris Bassett, who is better at home, Ryan O'Hearn, I don't mind. He's more of a tournament shot in the dark for a home run out of him there. Gunnar Henderson, I mean, his numbers are fantastic. Same thing with Mountcastle. Santander, lefty on righty matchup, I really like. Austin Hayes, I don't mind. Rushman, Adley is what I would use too. Maybe a little bit Adam Frazier. Very tournament, though, only. And then if you're looking, Matt Chapman, the numbers are fantastic almost across the board. Is striking out a ton, though. Almost as much... like top 5 on the list for strikeouts, though. So that's something to look at. Is walking really well, can run as well. Vlad can't run because he's fat, but we're looking at him. Fantastic numbers there. Bo Bichette against Kyle Gibson, I don't mind. Danny Jansen, I wouldn't be surprised if he hits another home run. George Springer, I don't mind either. So in tournaments, I think both of these pitchers are probably tournament-only options. Could change. Obviously, weather, this won't affect this one. But, again, Vegas numbers. We'll look at Vegas numbers. The lower the number, obviously they're thinking the pitching will be good in the game. That's where we can take advantage. So tournament only probably for me, and then the bats that we talked about. Angels at the Braves, you got Griffin Canning versus Charlie Morton. Coming up here, Charlie Morton at home. Not a good game against Boston at all. Not a good game against Arizona. So he's been hit a little bit hard lately. In this game, home games, 383. So he is worse at home. He's giving up more earned runs at home, more home runs, less walks. He does have a couple more strikeouts than that. But his numbers aren't that good at home. And it's Atlanta. I know it's going to be nighttime. This is one where we need to check the weather. If it's hot and humid, depending on what it is, it'll be on our cheat sheet in the weather tab. But obviously, the hotter the ball, the more humid it is, the further it's going to fly. And we could be looking at some Angels bats. Obviously, the one that sticks out would be Shohei. Wouldn't be surprised if he hits a home run here. He's getting walked a ton, though, guys. If you are into sports betting and you want to do you can do live at bats, you might make more money betting that he gets walked than he does anything else. It's kind of crazy. They're not pitching to him for whatever reason. It's kind of crazy what they're doing right now. But Atlanta's a really good team as well, so that's something to look at. And then Griffin Canning here at Atlanta. A couple of good games here. Obviously, a really good game against the Yankees. Against Detroit, 5 innings, 8 Ks. It would have been even better had he not given up 2 earned runs, and we did have him there. Hasn't faced Atlanta this year. He is better on the road, but he gives up more home runs on the road if it's hot and humid here. I mean, Austin, right? I mean, we'll look at the bats. Definitely look at the bats. So we'll look at, Truist Park is giving up a ton of home runs. Tied, not counting this one, tied for what? 1, 2, or they're in third place overall, giving up home runs. So they give up a ton of hard hits, a ton of their batting average is up there. Their WOBA's up there too. So park factor, it's above 1. So we're looking at that. Absolutely looking at that there. So when you look at that, downgrade the pitchers in this one if it's hot and humid, and upgrade the bats. So the bats that were in play, we'll look at that real quick. Obviously Shohei, duh. We're looking at that. Zach Neto, I don't mind. So they did just, I like Mickey Moniak. They did just trade for CJ Cron and Randall Grichuk. Now, I don't know if they're going to be in this lineup. Obviously, they're thinking Taylor Ward's going to be out for a while. He broke his, if you haven't seen it, he took a pitch right off the face and has facial fracture, so he's probably might be out for the year. I don't know. But the Angels are all in trying to make the playoffs here. Just probably in time for Ohtani to go sign somewhere else at the end of the year when they don't make the playoffs. But Ohtani would be a good option. CJ Cron, Randall Grichuk, I don't mind, especially if they're in this lineup. Neto and Mickey Moniak here. And then on the flip side, I mean, Braves are always going to be a massive stack, especially at home, especially with the weather. Acuna. We took Acuna to hit home run and stolen base, and he missed the home run. It was the only one in the parlay that didn't hit. Matt Olson had 2 yesterday. Sean Murphy's been on fire. Austin Riley's been on fire, hitting some bombs. Marcell Ozuna. Michael Harris, I don't mind. Ozzie Albies. There's a lot to like about Braves as a stack today. But if you want to go contrarian, you got to find a different stack as well. Or Braves would be your main stack, and then you have your secondary stack depending on who it is. But Angels, obviously, I think I'm going to have Ohtani in almost all of my lineups, though. Probably one of my core plays as long as he's in there. Next game, Reds at the Cubs. You got Andrew Abbott versus Marcus Stroman. Abbott's never faced them before. Stroman, 36 plate appearances, 194. So this is where I'm confused. So Cubs came out and blatantly said Cody Bellinger is not going to get traded. They didn't mention Stroman's name. His name has been the one that's been projected to be traded all year. They've been on a heater. They're not too far back in the standings. So this one, I don't know. This one scares me a little bit because I could still see them trading him if they get some other pitchers in there and keep up the pace. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. Looking at Abbott, game logs, he's had some fantastic games here lately against Milwaukee, against San Francisco. Splits-wise, he is better at home, but he's not bad on the road. Less home runs, more walks, less Ks. Against the Cubs, it could go either way. Tournament-wise, I honestly love Abbott as a tournament option here, but he is expensive at $10,000. Third highest price pitcher on the slate. Cubs can strike out, but they can also hit lefties well. So, and this is another park factor. So we're looking at Wrigley. Looking at here, they don't. Surprisingly, right now they haven't given up, 102 home runs so far. And I don't know if this is updated when this was updated. It's probably updated as of Saturday. But looking at Wrigley here, their park factor, they're right there, basic. So the thing that will change this is if the weather is blowing out. If there's wind blowing out, that's when you would look at the bats more. But we can look at the bats real quick. We know the story of the Reds, one of the hottest teams of the year, very surprising team of the year. This is for the division right now, which is crazy. So looking at the numbers, I don't think I'd use Strand. Ellie, I don't mind, especially in this ballpark. Votto came with a home run yesterday. Absolutely love that. That was at the a very cheaper home run for us. So Jonathan India, whose name was thrown out there to get traded, now on the IL, so he is out. Matt McClain, I don't mind. Like him. TJ Friedl, Jake Fraley, I like these bats here. So those are some of the bats that I would look at. And then if we're looking at bats against a left-handed for the Cubs, like I said yesterday, Patrick Wisdom, that's what he's good for, is home runs. Suzuki, Chris Morel, Ian Happ, Dansby Swanson, all of these I would use. Bellinger, I would use, knowing now, and Yan Gomes here. So those are some of the bats I would use. I will use both of these pitchers. I'm just kind of concerned about Stroman. I don't know if he's going to get traded or not. So something to monitor moving forward. Then we got the Guardians at the Astros. You got Noah Syndergaard making his debut off the IL for the Guardians versus JP France. Let's dig into the number a little bit. Syndergaard hasn't pitched since June 7th. Got traded. Coming off the IL, he's not been good at all. It's been very, very bad all season. 7.16 ERA, 1-4 record, only 38 strikeouts. He's not striking out people. Home and away, now he's away, worse on the road. He goes up against Houston. I'm all in on stacking Houston here. Completely all in on stacking Houston. So looking at this, so this ballpark is here, where Minute Maid Park, it's a dome. Currently, they're giving up 464 runs. This is through Saturday, so this doesn't include Sunday. They're ranked 18th overall as of that. And then you dig in here, slugging is 18th, which isn't good. Home runs, they don't give up a ton of home runs here. But Noah Syndergaard is not an ideal candidate to be pitching. So I would be all in on stacking, 100% stacking the Astros here. I think you might get a little bit more edge stacking the Astros over the Braves, but that's kind of where I'd look at. And then JP France going up against Cleveland. A couple of good games in a row here. Looking at his splits, he's faced Cleveland once this year. 6.2 innings, 3 earned runs, 6 Ks. Not the best start. I don't know if I'll use JP France, but you can see home games, he's worse at home. So, but I don't think I'll use either pitcher here. But we can look at the bats just to, you can kind of expect the bats on each side, but we'll go over it. It's going to be like a Josh Naylor. It's going to be Josh Bell, switch hitter. Jose Ramirez, Josh Naylor. Bo Naylor for tournaments has been good for us, is what I'd look at. Jimenez, I don't mind. He is kind of green, blue here, but I don't mind him. And then, stacking all in on Yordan, Kyle Tucker. Diaz has been on fire for us. I think every time we've used Diaz in the lineup, he's homered. Abreu's been heating up lately. Chas McCormick I really like. Those are the ones I'd look at. Maybe a little bit of Bregman, but he's been more disappointing than not. So those are the ones I'd kind of look at when we're building these lineups out here. Next game, Padres at the Rockies. You got Seth Lugo versus Austin Gomber. I don't want anything to do with Coors. Is Coors on here? Let's see. Yeah. I mean, they've given up the most amount of runs as a ballpark. 8th overall in home runs and number 1 in slugging. I mean, that's, yeah. If you want to look at park factor, they're the worst, not including this one. They're the most amount of runs here, weighted on base, contact, batting average. I mean, all red. So the more the red, obviously, the more you want to stack the ballpark, and then you want to stack the teams. So you wouldn't be looking at either pitcher here at all. Have no exposure to the pitchers. And you can just kind of look real quick. Let's take a look. Gomber's all the way at the bottom. Game log, okay. And then you can see his splits. At home, 7-1-9. Like, that's going to be every Colorado pitcher ever, most likely. Looking at this, a ton of home runs, a little bit more Ks, but a lot of walks too. So digging in here, the problem is all of the bats here, when you got the Coors effect. Let's just take a look. Coors effect, and there's a possibility of rain, so that's definitely something to look at. But let's just look at these bats here. Hitters. Tatis is 6,400. It's going to be very hard to pay up for him and still feel confident. About it. Soto's expensive. Machado's expensive. Bogarts is expensive. C.J. Cron and Grichuk are no longer on the team, so they got traded. McMahon is kind of expensive as well. So you're getting the Coors effect. You're getting a ton of pricing up because it's in Colorado. So I would still stack the bats. So if you want to look at the bats to stack, depending if you can afford it, if you can find some value in your pitching, you could be looking at, obviously, Tatis, Juan Soto, Machado, Gary Sanchez, a lefty on righty matchup there. Really like that. He homered for us on Sunday. Bogarts as well. But again, you're going to be paying up. And then you got McMahon. If you'd want to look at McMahon, Nolan Jones, I don't mind. Brenton Doyle. You kind of got to see who's going to... The chips are going to fall since Cron and Grichuk are both out. So we can kind of see who's going to be there for bats. But probably I would still stick with the San Diego bats over the Colorado bats. Then we got the Red Sox at the Mariners. Nick Pivetta versus George Kirby. Looking at this, George Kirby's up here at 8,600, going up against Boston, coming off not a good game against Minnesota, but then a really good game against Minnesota, then a bad game against Detroit, okay game against Houston, a really good game against Tampa Bay. You don't know which one you're going to get. So looking at that, splits-wise, home, he is a little bit better at home. Not by much, but he is. Striking out more, less walks, more home runs, less earned runs, less hits allowed. Looking at that, then we've got to find Pivetta. Looking at Pivetta's numbers, game logs, 5 innings here, though, 22.9 fantasy points. He's been very up and down. He's been in the bullpen, or he's been coming behind when they have openers. So, you're not going to get a ton out of him. I don't think I would trust Pivetta enough to get in there and look at anything. Against Seattle, 5.1 innings this year, 4 earned runs, 14 fantasy points, a 6.75 ERA. So looking at that, we're looking at not the best. And we're looking at T-Mobile Park. Let's see. I mean, it's a pitcher-friendly park here with the factor at 95. You can see a lot of blue here. That would lead you to, hey, let's take some pitching here instead of bats. In that instance, maybe throw Pivetta in there for tournaments, but again, he's got to go, at least 5. He's got to get the strikeouts, which I don't know if he's capable of. But you can always be concerned. This is one where when I say you need to pay down today, you could pay down at Pivetta at 6,600 to be able to afford like Tatis and Machado and some of the San Diego bats. So this is one where Pivetta could be an SP2. Hopefully he goes at least 5, though. That's the problem. And then if you want to go like Kyle Gibson as a tournament, 6,600 and 6,400 combined, almost as much as you'd be paying for Glass now, which is crazy. Kirby, I don't mind either of these pitchers, actually. This ballpark is better for pitchers, but again, probably tournament only here. Bats-wise, depending if you want to take bats, again, I don't know. I don't know if some of these players are in possibility of getting traded. We don't know. But if you're not taking the pitchers, you want to look at bats. Devers, Casas, Jarren Duran, Justin Turner. I read where Justin Turner is not going to get traded, or they don't expect to trade him. So there you go right there. Trevor Story should be coming back soon. Flip side of that, if you're not taking Pivetta, Julio, Teoscar Hernandez, Suarez, I don't mind. Cal Raleigh, who let us down though on Sunday. J.P. Crawford, another option as well. And then the final game, Arizona versus, you guessed it, if you've been here before, you know San Francisco loves to not tell us who's going to be pitching the day until like a couple hours before, or early in the morning, or mid-afternoon. They really just don't ever know who's going to be pitching. But let's see who DraftKings thinks are going to be pitching. They're saying Alex Cobb. Okay. His last start was the 25th. So, yeah, this should be Alex Cobb. Is going up against Arizona. Game logs, coming off a really good game against, obviously, it's Oakland. Coming off a good game against Oakland. So, we really like that. Splits-wise, again, this ballpark is a fantastic pitcher's park. And you can look at this. Let's look at the StatCast. What's the Oracle Park? Right here. You can see a lot of blue, too. The one is hard hit rate. So they do hit it hard, but if it's right to someone, that doesn't count. So another pitcher's park. We love to take pitchers in this ballpark. So looking at that, probably don't want anything to do with Nelson. We can look at his numbers, but we'll look. But Alex Cobb at home, fantastic at home. This might be my favorite play over Glass now because he's just so much better at home. Less home runs. It's hard to hit home runs in this ballpark. Less walks, a little bit less Ks. That is true. Way less earned runs at home. A lot less hits allowed, too. So Alex Cobb might be my favorite play of the day. I might have changed it from Glass now to Cobb and won't look back. He's faced Arizona once this year, 7.1 innings, no earned runs. He did only have 3 strikeouts, which is unfortunate, but he still got 21.1 fantasy points. So looking at this, I want to see if that was in Arizona or in San Francisco. Arizona, that's not a pitcher's park, so that's even better. So yeah, I'm all in on Alex Cobb. He's down here. He's going to be hidden a little bit from the fish that take the higher priced guys at 8,000. I don't mind, and then you can really go either way here. Make a Pivetta or a Gibson with him. Looking at that, Ryan Nelson. Let's see where Ryan Nelson is. Down here, game log, he pitched on the 24th, minus 1.1 against St. Louis, which is not a good team. 6 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, only 1 strikeout in that game. He's faced San Francisco twice this year, 11.2 innings, 5 earned runs, 10 strikeouts, 3.86 ERA. While I don't know if I'll have any bats in this game, I'm all in on Alex Cobb here. We can look at the bats, but I'm probably looking at bats in other games than this one. But we can look real quick just to double check and make you guys more comfortable with looking at what to look for. So if you're not, for whatever reason, you're crazy and you're not going with Alex Cobb because you're going to fade the public, Ketel Marte, obviously 100%. Corbin Carroll, Christian Walker, Gurriel Jr., all are ones that I would be looking at if I'm making my choices to not go with Cobb, but I am going with Cobb. Giants bats, if you're going against Nelson, J.D. Davis, Jock Peterson. I don't know. I've heard Jock's name get thrown out there for trades, so pay attention to that a little bit. Haven't heard anybody else on this team, though. So you could be looking at Jock. You could be looking at Yastrzemski. Patrick Bailey, if he starts. He didn't start on Sunday because it's the day of rest for catchers, so he should be fresh to go. Lamont Wade Jr. I don't mind. Conforto I don't mind. A lot to like about San Francisco bats here too. But again, this is a pitcher's park, so that is definitely something to pay attention to. So there you have it. It is a long breakdown, but hopefully is very informative for you. If you found it helpful and useful, hit that like button. If you're still here, any signing up on the website, any donations down to our Cash App down below is awesome. At advisors_team on Twitter. You can do tips there. Watching the ads and just clicking on the ads here on YouTube, that helps as well. So get the comments in here. Let's get some love and support into this channel, and we will be back for another video tomorrow, and we will be looking at what I need to look at for building you guys out some MMA content, videos, cheat sheets, and core plays as well. So that's what I've got for you guys. Good luck, and as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace!